Hello, I'm Liselle Sambury and welcome back to my channel where I talk about all things writing, traditional publishing, and a little bit of reading. And this is the February vlog. I took a little bit of a break in the beginning of the month because I like to, if possible, try and give myself a little bit of like an extended break between working on projects so I don't get completely overwhelmed by what I have to do. And so this month I'm going to be working on my adult thriller project called The Couples Retreat. It's about a couple who have been together for a very long time, and they are kind of at this point in their relationship where something needs to be fixed. And so they decide to sign up for this controversial couples retreat, and when they get there, things are kind of not exactly as expected, or at least she thinks so. So that is the couples retreat, and my plan this month is I want to spend a week working on planning the edits, really finishing planning the edits, because I started planning the edits in October and then I got a little bit derailed. So finishing planning the edits, and then spend the next 2 weeks after that actually doing the edits. But my difficulty, my challenge heading into this month is I feel like I got derailed from everything. Like I feel like I can't even remember like the plans that I had for this and like what I was going to do and like the things I had set out. I feel like getting like pulled away from it so that I could work on all this Mastery of Monsters stuff. I feel like it just filled my head with that project, and now I'm having to like find my way back to this project, and I feel like I'm kind of unmoored. Like I feel like today I woke up and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to do. So the plan for today is to jump back into all of my notes, jump back into what I've plotted so far, and try and make sense of / remember what I'm supposed to be doing. And then on my kind of to-do agenda is the character arcs. So I'm supposed to be working on fixing the character arcs for the story, so I have to get that done today. But I really want to make progress. I feel like because my plans for this kind of had to get shifted because I had to prioritize my book that was already on contract, and this isn't a contracted project, and so I had to prioritize that, and I feel like I've gotten so shifted, and I really want to get a chance to like really work on this project and really feel like I'm making forward progress, which I know I have made forward progress, but I think because my plan was that I wanted this book on submission in January of this year, which is obviously not happening, I feel like I mentally feel behind, even though I know objectively that I'm not behind, and I just want to feel like I'm getting something done. So that's really my plans for this month. I really want to get things done on it. I also want to get it done within my timeline, because if I get things done in these 3 weeks, then that means I can take launch week off, which I really would like to, just to give myself a little bit of like an extra break and recharge. I don't want to I don't want to get to the point where I'm like once again like at the end of the year feeling overwhelmed. Like I don't want any of that, and so I want to make sure that I'm giving myself a lot of rest and recharge breaks. So that is the plan. I need to know what I'm doing, so that will be a challenge, and then just like get back into the groove of it. So I have this whole week to plan these edits, and I'm hopeful that I can get that done. And my overall plan / hope / dream is to get this on submission in May of this year. I would like to get it in just like right before summer starts, but if not, then during summer, I suppose. So I'd really like to get it in at that point, just because then I can really shift focus, because I have to start working on the sequel to A Mastery of Monsters at some point this year, and I don't want to get in this position of like trading off between working on A Mastery of Monsters and its sequel and the Couples Retreat. I really want to try and get the Couples Retreat squared away on submission out of my head so that I can shift fully into that. So yeah, we're gonna be nose to the grindstone for the next 3 weeks, getting this done and like pushing towards that goal of getting it on submission. But this will be my first big developmental edit based on feedback, and so usually me and my agent go back and forth like a few times, but I feel like my goal is very doable. I just got to get over this challenge of what am I doing.
Yeah, we got milestones and tombstones when I say goodbye to my bros. Say goodbye to my hoes. When I say goodbye to my y'all ain't really outside, it's a shame, man, and it shows. But I save them all on my soul. But I save them all on my, Beyond special, grandma went back to Southside. I'm showing my love on my downtime. Hope auntie right with you, it's about time to pray one more again. I can't save all my friends, we don't break, we might bend. But you stayed on my mind. Some just stayed on the block, some made it to the top. Glass plates on the top shelf, I'm missing the health, like when will it stop? I ain't Magneto Metal stuck with me, I ain't Gambino US fuck with me, cause they stuck with me. Took a little while to get the bucks with me, now it's upticking, give me a break. I don't wanna fall like this, y'all ain't killing my shine. I wanna ball like this, but I look for my side. Hit it with jaws like this, every time I get high. I would never call like this, even when I see you die. Yeah, we got milestones and tombstones when I say goodbye to my bros. Say goodbye to my hoes. When I say goodbye to my, y'all ain't really outside, it's a shame, man, and it shows. But I save them all on my soul. But I save them all on my, I'm all invested, my suit invest, got soaked from all the tears. It's all impression, my God is questioning me for all these years. I guess it's karma, called Dalai Lama to save me from my fears. I can't take it, I'm falling dear. Drinks to you, let's just do us. You can't hold me up if you ain't hold me down. Funny people acting they don't know you now.
Things are not going well. Things are not going great. They are going, which is something. They could be going better, but they are not really. So why not start with some good news? Let's start with some good news. So I was working on the plotting for the couples retreat, and even though I was panicked about not remembering anything, once I got into my notes and I read through them, I did in fact remember what I was trying to do. I did still go through and fix a lot of things. So I redid my Save the Cat beats just to like align better with the character. I also redid the main character's arc, which is pretty similar, but like just some small changes. I always end up doing this with main characters, so it's really nothing different. And so I did all of that. I added in all these new subplot things I wanted added in, and I worked on those. And so I got all of that put together. And when I had finished the plotting, it wasn't like it was like super rock solid, but it was enough in a way that I knew that once I was working on it, I could pull it together a little bit more and I could play with pieces a bit more. And I felt like I had a very solid base going in. So I went from being panicked about what I could do, having forgotten, to really feeling like I pulled everything together and I understood everything and that this was going to be a good plan. And I also finished doing this 2 days earlier than I expected to, which was great, which is where it's not really bad news. It's just kind of like things have become more difficult. And so in order for me to not just sit around stressing about the timeline of A Mastery of Monsters, I decided to just reach out to my editor and figure out what the timeline is. And so based on how the timeline is, it meant that I would now have 2 weeks essentially to work on the couples retreat instead of the 3 weeks that I had planned out for. It's just, there's not really any way around it. And it isn't like my publisher being inflexible or like mean to me. It really is like there's a specific thing that they want to do and they need to have it ready for that date in order to be able to do these things. It's not like a secret, random, exciting thing. It's just kind of like an internal sort of sales type promotion thingy. And so in order for that to happen, it needs to be done by a certain date in March. And originally my plan was that I would finish that next edit of A Mastery of Monsters at the end of March. So I would work on the Couples Retreat in February and A Mastery of Monsters in March, but it needs to be done by mid-March. So then I had a choice. So either I could split up the work again, so I could do as much of the Couples Retreat stuff as I could and then take a break from it to do the Mastery of Monsters stuff and then return to it. Or I could squeeze the workload into 2 weeks, which was possible if I work a Saturday, and that was really kind of the concession, is that I work one Saturday and I, you know, kind of squeeze that in. That'll make it work because I finished my plotting early and so I needed less time in general. And so I decided to do that. And also if I don't give myself days to do new chapters. So sometimes when I'm editing, I will take a whole day. Like if I have to draft a new chapter, I don't do any other editing that day. I just draft the chapter and then I do more editing the next day. And so I've decided not to do that. So if I have to draft and edit in a day, that's the way it is. So essentially that is the choice I made. I decided that I would rather push myself and have more work and get it done in 2 weeks than to have to wait and put off edits on this any longer. Just because I keep having to push off working on this to work on A Mastery of Monsters, which makes sense because A Mastery of Monsters is my contracted work. I am being paid for that. I obviously want it to be promoted and to do well. And so I really am focusing hard on writing it and doing work on it and like meeting deadlines in that way, as opposed to the Couples Retreat, which has no deadline, no contract, nothing. And so it's really just me working on it when I have time. And so that's really the thing. I do have to work on it when I have time. And I decided that I would rather just finish the edit than to split it up, because if I finish the edit in these 2 weeks, then I can hand it off to my agent, and probably by the time I finish the Mastery of Monsters edits, she will have comments for me and then I can do more edits on it. And so it'll give me a little bit more time, and I should have more time in between that line edit and the copy edit. Who knows? But so that is a decision I made, which is like made things a little bit difficult. It is a heavier workload than I was expecting, and it has been rough. My motivation is, yeah, it's a struggle. It feels like working on every chapter is pulling teeth, and it's not that the chapters are going poorly. It's truly just my brain and my body just don't want to do that much work. And so that is the struggle that I am having, is just adjusting and pushing through the motivation of like actually getting all of this done, because it is taking like very full work days from me. A lot of the days, like my work days, I'm really like finishing at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Sometimes I finish at like 10:30 a.m. Like the way that I like to work as a self-employed person is I don't want to be doing so much every day. And I find that to be like the best balance for me and my life, happiness, mental health, and all of that. And so it is a little rough to like suddenly now be doing like, this is the full day. And even today I woke up just like randomly very early. So I woke up at like, I don't know, like 7:30 or something like that. And I didn't feel well. So then I was like, not like a real illness, not feel well. I just felt a little bit ill. So I was like, I'll just stay up, whatever. I'm fine now, by the way. And it's still like, it's like almost 4 o'clock and I'm still not done. And it's just like, it's just me doing things to avoid working. And so that's where I'm at right now. I'm hoping that will improve. But even if it doesn't, I'm gonna keep grinding so that I can get this done. But yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like, it's not an ideal situation, but I would rather do this than the other situation, which is more not ideal for me. So that's where I'm at, but it means I'm going to be working on 2 different things this month, but I am still hopeful that I can get these edits done and be pleased for sending them off.
But we never change, and I know this now. I seen people leave by this swearing vows. It's a winter town in the go, nick of time like Mr. Rose. Anytime I'll give and go when I'm safe in my digital. I don't wanna fall like this. Y'all ain't killing my shine. I wanna ball like this, but I look for my side. Get it with draws like this. Every time I get high, I would never call like this, even when I see you die. We got milestones and tombstones when I say goodbye to my bros. Say goodbye to my hoes. When I say goodbye to my, say goodbye to my. Y'all ain't really outside, it's a shame, man, and it shows. But I save them all of my soul. But I save them all of my, save them all. We got milestones and tombstones when I say goodbye to my bros. Say goodbye to my hoes. When I say goodbye to my, say goodbye to my. Y'all ain't really outside, it's a shame, man, and it shows. But I save them all of my soul, but I save them all on my, save them all on my.
I am in recovery mode. I'm in recovery mode, and I know it is my own fault, but it is at least positive. So to catch you up on everything, so I did finish my edits for the couples retreat and I sent that off to my agent. It was horrible. Every single day was like pulling teeth, but I felt like I was doing really good work. And then of course, the instant I sent it off to my agent, second guessing absolutely everything I've done, suddenly the whole thing is trash. All of the work I put, trash. All of it, trash, terrible. Embarrassed to have sent this to her. I want to take it back desperately, but I'm not able to. So that happened. And from there, I was just like rest and recovery mode. So there was a long weekend in Canada, or Ontario, I suppose I should say, some other provinces. It's very all the way over. It's called Family Day, but I think it's basically to break up the horrible crushing monotony that is winter carrying on until March. For some people like me who lives up north, probably April. So that's basically what it's for, and I took advantage of it. I did make that dress that you have probably seen in the b-roll, which I'm excited about. I have an event coming up in March that I'm planning to wear that to. It hasn't been announced yet, but check my Instagram. I will announce when it has been announced, and then you will know. So I put that together for that, and otherwise I was really just like hardcore relaxing, which I'm still doing because my line edits for Mastery of Monster actually haven't come in yet, and so I'm taking full advantage of relaxing and doing that because I really do need the recharge time. And I know that I did this to myself because I had a couple friends be like, this seems like it's really painful for you to do, and like, is it actually necessary that you do this edit in 2 weeks? And no, it never was. It was never actually necessary. But I, in my body, in my mind, I had to do it because it was so frustrating, the idea of having to put it off again. But I know that I'm paying for it now because I'm so exhausted. Doing anything is so tiring, and that's really the cost. And I think that's, you know, that's the thing. When you overexert yourself, you pay in one way or another. So that's basically what's happening. I wanted to start doing, there's like this app where you can learn kickboxing, which I've really enjoyed. So when I was in Toronto, I used to go to like a kickboxing place and everybody got their own punching bag and you like went and you did your kickboxing, and I really enjoyed that. I had a lot of fun doing that. I felt like I was really learning and like getting better at the skill. And so, you know, one of my cousin's boxes, and so I like had been learning since I was a kid, really. And so it was fun to be able to up the skill. And so that's why I signed up for this app, because where I live now, there isn't that option. There are kickboxing gyms, but like they want you to do partner work. And I just know within my body that there is nothing I want to do less than go and do partner boxing with a complete stranger. I don't want to do it. I did it one time, so no one can say I didn't try. I did it one time. I hated it. I don't want to go and interact with strangers in that way. There's a specific amount of activities in which I am happy to go and meet strangers, and that is not one of them. So because I cannot have that environment that I had in Toronto, I accepted doing it at home with no punching bag, and I was really excited to start because I want to get into learning, and just haven't done it. Haven't done it. Every day I wake up, I'm like, today, no, exhausted, tired, cannot manage. So that is my own fault. And lessons have been learned, which I knew they would be. The whole time I was doing it, I knew that this was going to come back and bite me. And so of course it has in more ways than one. But now I'm recovering and I'm enjoying the recovery mode. I got all of my pre-order swag for Tender Beasts if you want to check out the pre-order campaign, I will link it down below, but I got all of my swag in, which is really exciting. And so I have to I have some envelopes to stamp and stuff and book plates to sign, etc. And so I think I'm just gonna like slowly be doing that as I go on to give myself a lot of grace and time. So that's really good. We've gotten some more cover sketches for A Mastery of Monsters. I can't remember if I did an update about this, but we were working on the cover and it just ended up going in a direction that wasn't quite working for us, and so we scrapped that and we've started over. We've gotten a new round of sketches and I'm very excited about these. Yeah, I think it's gonna be really cool, and like in a previous video I was like, this is gonna be very different from my other covers, and that really stands, but I think it's gonna be so cool and I'm very excited for it, even though we are only at sketch mode right now. But that is basically the mode that I am in right now. I am doing some event things. I have oh my gosh, I have a live stream I'm going to be doing on Britt Writerly's channel, which I will link down below. It will obviously have happened by now, but you can check out the replay. So that'll be really cool. And I have a like a book festival, the Lifted Book Festival, coming up on the weekend. So I'm really, I was like, if my editor needs to take the time to do the line edits, I will enjoy the time before I'm getting them. So that's kind of the mode that I'm in right now. And yeah, so I feel like I've come through the pain of doing those edits in 2 weeks that I knew would be really hard. And really I'm coaching myself through the the stress of having sent that to my agent and questioning everything by, at worst, she sends it back to me and she's like, let's work on it some more. And then we work on it some more until we get it to the level that it needs to be, because that is the point of revision. And I always try and tell myself that whenever I feel stressed or bad about edits that I've sent off, that the point is to revise it and make it better. And so the worst thing that's going to happen is I'm going to be told to revise it and make it better, and I was gonna be told that no matter what. So that's what I hold in my heart. That's how I am pushing forward. I am obsessively playing on my Switch. I am playing Spiritfarer, which I have discovered and I am now very, very obsessed with. So I am enjoying that. And yeah, just trucking on. Some reading updates. So I have read a couple books that I really enjoyed. I read the first in the Murderbot series, All Systems Red by Martha Wells, because I am keeping on with my desire to read a sci-fi book, at least one every month, to get back into sci-fi, which I love so much, but like don't read often for whatever reason. And I really enjoyed it. It was really sweet. I didn't expect it to be so like heartwarming, but it was really heartwarming. It essentially follows this, it's hard to call him a robot because he actually isn't a robot. So this is something that I discovered. So he calls himself Murderbot, and he's some sort of created entity, but he has a human face, which I didn't realize, and I found like very disarming, and it like makes for some really interesting conversations in the book because I think he's thought of as a robot, but he's not actually. More of a cyborg, I suppose I would say. So that was really interesting. And yeah, I think I wasn't sure what I was in for, but it was a really fun novella. I also finished reading Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll, which I really liked. I thought this was really good. It was really, really well written. It's essentially about two women and from their two perspectives, and one is the president of a sorority that is targeted by a serial killer, and the other perspective is Ruth is a woman who you know is the victim of the serial killer. And so they're sharing their individual stories, which I really, really appreciated, because I feel like Pamela, who is the sorority president, like her perspective is really like a sort of like investigation perspective of trying to prove that this man is the murderer and trying to get justice for her sisters, whereas Ruth, the other's perspective, is this very kind of like separate story that is really kind of like that human background part of the victim that sometimes can be overshadowed when people kind of glorify serial killers. So I just thought this was so good. It was really, really well written. I really was so engrossed in the stories. And so I really like this one also. I'm hoping to get to reading Chain Gang All-Stars. I can't remember the author, but I really hope to get to read that one this month. And then I also really want to read Out of Body by Nia Davenport. So we'll see if I get to those. And I can't remember if I talked about or not, but I also finished a poetry collection called Black Girl Call Home, because as I was in my poetry era for a little bit there, I've taken a break from it, but I do want to get back to it, which was just like a bunch of really wonderful poems about, you know, being a Black queer woman and talking about like her experiences of growing up and her family, and talking about, you know, Black pulp culture also, and like civil rights movements and things like that as well, and just like really beautiful poems. Like there were so many lines that really stuck out to me and made me think and like made me pause. And so I'm, yeah, just really happy to be enjoying poetry and kind of getting into it, because I've talked about this in the past, or for some reason I guess I felt I didn't understand poetry and so I couldn't really enjoy it, and I guess now I'm on a journey to finding poetry that I really love and appreciate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, you know, you know. You know, you know. You are not the one, you're not even my crush. You think you my style, but you barely made the cut. You say you don't need me, but I'm calling you bluff. Cause you keep begging for it, no, you can't get enough. See, that's your issue, too much pride. Lucky I even replied. Said that I couldn't do better, but we both know that you lied. I write niggas twice your size. They know how to treat me right. You know that I'm your leader, so fall back in line. When you play these games, you get replaced. Baby, you should know you're never safe. When you play these games, you get replaced.
I literally recorded a whole clip for this vlog, a whole ending clip about how chaotic this vlog had been and how I was sorry for the chaos of it. And then I went to check back the footage to make sure I wasn't having that weird auto adjustment autofocus issue that I had with some of my other past videos, only to realize that my camera has been recording in slow motion for the last however many clips I've recorded. Thankfully it was all b-roll stuff, so it was like okay, plus that clip I literally just recorded. But my god, yeah, using a new camera is apparently so very difficult for me. Didn't think it would be, but here we are. Anyway, let's get into the chaos of this week and finishing out this vlog. But I'm going to start with some good news, which is that my final copy of Tender Beasts came in. So I'm very excited about that. I'll show you it kind of close up. There it is. Nope, that's the wrong way. There's this really cool, if it'll focus properly, there's this really cool detail of Dom's eye on the spine that I absolutely love. And there's the back where you can see part of his face continuing over here, or shoulder rather. But yeah, I'm very excited to have my copy. It's a nice soft touch, which I love because I just love feeling soft touch covers. But I'm very excited because I had been seeing everyone with their copies and I didn't have my copy and I was very jealous. So I have my copy now. I also, in a previous clip, I mentioned the pre-order campaign, but I didn't realize then that by the time this video posts, the pre-order campaign will be over. So sorry about that. But there will be opportunities in the future to get like these little swag items if you didn't get them. I will probably do giveaways. If I'm at in-person events, I will have swag with me to give away at in-person events as well. So there will be other opportunities. But for now, yes, that pre-order campaign is closed. To get into what made this vlog feel chaotic to me. So I was waiting on line edits for Mastery of Monsters from my editor, which, like, based on the timeline we had discussed, was going to come in soon, and that's why I had to like work much faster on the couples retreat than I expected, only to get an email from her that something urgent had come up, and so she had not been able to start the edits, which meant that they would be coming to me the next week, which meant essentially that I had rushed for nothing. Pretty much I had rushed for nothing, which I couldn't have known and she couldn't have known. So it is what it is, but I essentially suddenly had a week off, which I did take advantage of. So I packed up a bunch of the pre-orders. I had said that I was going to ship them in April just to give myself tons of time. I wanted to like, what is it? Under promise, over deliver? Anyway, so I just took the time because I had all the swag stuff with me, so I packaged a bunch of those up. So I have a bunch just like ready. They just need the address labels on them. And then if I get like a few more, I can pack those up. I've just like given myself a good head start with the time. I did some beta reading that I was meant to be doing that I hadn't been able to do as much because I was so like jam-packed and working on the couples retreat, and took some time to relax and like chill and distress. I did start reading Chain Gang All-Stars, which I believe I talked about in the last clip, but essentially it's kind of like sort of Hunger Games-esque setup, but in this case it's incarcerated individuals that are in like private prisons that sign up to be part of this kind of battle system in which they, you know, have to kill other people, and they get up in the ranks and eventually are meant to like earn their freedom and like be able to get back out into society, and like people watch it, it's like televised and that sort of thing. And talking a lot about, you know, issues like, you know, fair treatment of prisoners, and like, you know, a lot of those different discussions. So I've been reading and enjoying that. It's like an interesting format. It's like a lot of different points of views so that you can see all the different angles of it. So like you have a point of view from like fans of the show, and like protesters of the show, and like family members of people that have like been on the show, and then also the prisoners themselves, like seeing the mechanics of like how they're living their day-to-day lives, and also how this like kind of battle system is working. So yeah, I'm enjoying that, and I've also started rereading Death Note, which is a manga about a boy who finds this book on the ground, and it's the Death Note, and it said whoever's name is written in the Death Note shall die, and it just kicks off into a whole thing from there. It's basically like, it kind of ends up being like a bit of a police procedural in a way, but it's like this kind of big battle between the kid that is using the Death Note to kill people and the lead investigator that is trying to catch him, but with that supernatural element of like death gods being involved and like having a book that has that magical power and that sort of thing, which I read when I was a teenager, and I saw that Cache and Ashley from Bookish Realm are doing like a Death Note read along, and I was like, ooh, like I would love to get in on that. I'm gonna link below their announcement videos about the read along, and so I've just dived right into that, and I've been having a lot of fun with it. So I've really been enjoying it. And yeah, that's kind of what I've been doing. And so I decided I would close off the vlog now, because on my launch day, this is like a launch day that I've kind of taken for myself, in that I'm not gonna be doing like a public event or anything like that. I have an event that's coming up on Sunday that I'll be on a panel on like a book festival, an online book festival, Lifted Book Festival. And so to me, I'm like, that's great, that's good, that's a nice promotional thing. And I have a video that'll come out on launch day, and I have of course a post that'll come out on launch day. And to me, I'm just gonna like kick back, chill, read some of my audiobook, hang out, just like celebrate and like have it be a big me day. So I figured I would leave that off the vlog just so I can have it be a me day. Because if I have to like film and like do other stuff, it just like, it becomes a whole thing. So, but I will have that video on launch day for you. So I'm gonna close out the vlog here, and next month will be less chaotic, hopefully, and there will be more stuff going on, which will be good. So I will be working on my line edits for A Mastery of Monsters, probably the whole time, but we'll see. And then I have some events in March as well. So I'm going to be doing an event in Toronto, which I will put details of all these events down below, but doing an event in Toronto. I will be doing a launch event with Bethany Baptiste for, actually I have it right here, with Bethany Baptiste for The Poisons We Drink, which I'm very excited. Look at this cover. This cover is beautiful. Let's see if it'll let it focus. Beautiful cover. So we'll be doing a launch event together, and then I will also be doing another book festival, this time in Houston, Texas, and then I will be going on a writing retreat in New Orleans with the Authortube gang, and all of our partners. So I will have a lot going on in March to share with you, and so that will be a much more well-rounded, exciting vlog to make up for the panic and chaos of this one. And I feel like what I have learned in this month is that I cannot predict and schedule everything. I need to be better about giving myself a little bit of grace and time. And breaks are important and balance is important, and I've always known that, but every once in a while I like backslide on these things. I think I talked about in my end of the year sort of wrap up, I'm like, sometimes you learn a lesson, you gotta learn it a few times before it actually sticks, and I feel like that is true for me. But yeah, I'm very excited about the launch of Tender Beasts. Thank you so much to everyone that I've seen like posting about the book online and like talking about how excited you are and like picking up your copies. I appreciate you so much. It always like makes me so like excited, and I smile when I see you guys on my social talking about it, and so I really appreciate it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!
Baby, you should know you're never safe. I may have seen some red flags, but I let you hit my line. You probably prayed for that. Gave you a couple nights.